Hello dear students, welcome back in class 9th chemistry. Students, I hope that you all are safe and sound. Dear students, in last lecture of chapter 2, we have learned about classification of matter on the basis of its composition. Today in continuation of lesson 2 is matter around us pure. We will learn in detail about solutions. In today's lecture, we will learn in detail about solution and its components, types of solution, properties of solution, saturated and unsaturated solutions, activity to prepare saturated solution, solubility and effect of temperature on solubility, concentration of solution, and numericals based on concentration of solution. Let us start with the topic solution. What is solution and what are its components? A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. For example, water is taken in this beaker and some amount of sugar is dissolved in this water. After stirring, a solution is prepared by the mixture of sugar in water. That solution is called sugar solution. This sugar solution is homogeneous mixture of sugar in water. Both water and sugar are the compounds and compounds are pure substances. Mixture is formed by the two or more pure substances. And here this solution is a homogeneous mixture because in this sugar solution the uniform composition of mixture is observed, means after dissolving sugar in water we cannot differentiate between sugar and water. It forms a uniform composition throughout the solution. Sugar is evenly distributed throughout water and sugar solution is formed. So, there is no demarcation between sugar and water when the sugar solution is formed. That is why this solution is a homogeneous mixture of sugar and water. So, what is solution? Solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. Now, a solution has two components. One is solute, other is solvent. Now, what is solute? The component of solution that is dissolved in the solvent is called solute and it is usually present in lesser quantity. As you have seen in this sugar solution, sugar is taken in a small quantity and it is dissolved in water which is taken in large quantity. So, sugar is a solute and water act as solvent. Now see what is the definition of solvent. The component of the solution that dissolves the solute in it is called solvent and it is usually present in larger quantity. So, in this sugar solution, water is solvent and sugar is solute. Let us see some more examples. Tincture of iodine. In tincture of iodine, iodine is taken in a small quantity and it is dissolved in solvent alcohol. Iodine is insoluble in water, so it will not be soluble. It will not be tincture of iodine solution will not be prepared in water. For this, the solvent is alcohol because iodine is soluble in alcohol. But here alcohol is taken in larger quantity in which iodine as a solute is dissolved in a less quantity. So, iodine is a solute, alcohol is a solvent and after mixing together the solution formed is called tincture of iodine. It's a very important question. In the exam you can be asked Find out solute and solvent in tincture of iodine. Which is solute, which is solvent in tincture of iodine. Tincture of iodine acts as an antiseptic, and it is used to prepare antiseptics like Savlon, Dettol, which are used to clean the wound or injury that occurs on our body parts. And this tincture of iodine is used as an antiseptic, and it is prepared by mixing iodine as solute in solvent, that is alcohol. Similarly, common salt solution. Common salt is taken as solute and it is dissolved in water, which is taken as solvent. Many times at your home you have prepared lemonade or shikanjvi or sharbat, in which you add common salt, sugar in water. So what you are preparing by adding those in water, that is solution. So common salt, if you take common salt and dissolve it in water, this common salt acts as solute and water acts as solvent, and common salt solution is prepared. Similarly, you might have drunk so many times aerated water in the form of Pepsi, Coca-Cola, etc., or cans. These are the examples of aerated water. In this type of solution, carbon dioxide is dissolved in water along with many other components like sugar and some preservative, and all are taken in less quantity and all are dissolved in water, which is taken in large quantity. So here carbon dioxide, which is a gas, is dissolved in water. So carbon dioxide, which is a gaseous component, here it acts as solute and it is dissolved in water, that is solvent. And we prepared aerated water. Aerated water means gas in water. And which gas is taken? That is carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide is more soluble in water. So carbon dioxide is a solute, water is solvent, and solution prepared is aerated water. Again, in the exam you can be asked that some solution name are given and you have to find out, identify solute and solvent in these type of solutions. Now, let us see the various types of solutions. Mainly solutions are of three types: liquid solution, solid solution, and gaseous solution. When we talk about liquid solution, it means here liquid is taken as solvent. If you talk about solid solution, here solid is taken as solvent. And if you talk about gaseous solution, here gas is taken as solvent. It means solvent can be liquid in state, can be solid in state, can be gaseous in state. And in this type of, that is liquid solution, where solvent is liquid but the solute can be solid, liquid and gas. For example, what are the various examples of liquid solution? You can see that sugar in water, alcohol in water, aerated drinks means carbon dioxide in water. And in all these three cases, you have seen that water is taken as, water which is liquid in state is taken as solvent. And in first case, sugar which is solid solute, that is sugar, is dissolved in solvent, that is water. Alcohol which is liquid in state is dissolved as a solute, is dissolved in solvent, that is water. Aerated drinks, carbon dioxide which is gaseous in state is taken as solute and dissolved in water as solvent. So solvent is one, that is liquid, but in that liquid, solid, liquid or gaseous state of matter can be dissolved easily. And in all these cases, what we are preparing? We are preparing liquid solution by adding solid in water, by adding liquid in water by adding gases in water. Similarly, when you see solid solution, if you ask in the exam, what is solid solution? Solid solution, again, solvent is solid here. And in that solvent, solid as a solute, liquid as a solute, and gas as a solute can be dissolved in solid solvent, and solid solution can be prepared. One example is given, that is alloys. You know the alloys: brass, bronze, stainless steel, duralumin, etc. are the examples of alloys. And you know alloys are the homogeneous mixture of two or more metals or one metal and non-metal. All these are in solid state. It means in solid solution, solid in the, for example, in the case of alloys, solute is solid and solvent is solid. So here solute plus solvent to form solid solution, that is solute is solid, solvent is solid. Both components of solid solution are in solid state. Brass is made by the combination of copper and zinc, and it makes solid solution. So solid plus solid is equal to solid solution. Now see gaseous solution. Here air, which is gas, is the example. Here air is the homogeneous mixture of several gases. So nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide are the solvents, are the solute, and these are mixed together to form air. So what are these? These are both solute and solvent, both are in gaseous state. So example of gaseous solution is air. If you are asked in the exam, give the example of liquid solution, you can give any example. If you are asked in the exam, give the example of solid solution, you can give the example of where both solvent and solute are solid in state. Then you have to give the example alloys, where the solute and solvent both are in solid state. Then example is alloys. And if you are asked that give the examples of gas in gas solution, then you have to give the example air. You can see this is a tincture of iodine. This is solution of sugar in water. And this is the example of solid in solid solution, that is alloy, when both the solute and solvent both are in solid state. So it forms solid solution, solid in solid solution. Similarly, gas in gas solution, example is air. Gas in liquid solution, example is aerated drinks. Now let us learn about properties of solution or true solution. True solution is always homogeneous in nature. Size of solute particles in solution is less than 1 nanometer. 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to power minus 9 meters, and its value in centimeter is 10 raised to power minus 7 centimeter. The solute particles are very, very tiny and fine particles in the true solution, that we cannot see those particles with naked eye or even under powerful microscope, because their size is very, very less, that is less than 1 nanometer. It's a very small size. As you have prepared in the previous slide, you have seen the sugar solution. When sugar is dissolved in water, it forms a homogeneous mixture of sugar solution, and the particles of sugar, when these are dissolved in water, these cannot be seen with the naked eye, or even they are not visible under powerful microscope. This means these are very, very fine and tiny particles whose size are less than 1 nanometer. So particles are not even visible with a powerful microscope. It is clear and transparent, but may be colored. You have seen that sugar, when dissolved in water, it forms a sugar solution. Salt, like common salt, when is dissolved in water, it forms a clear solution. Similarly, copper sulfate salt can be dissolved in water. It forms clear solution. It is transparent, but it may be colored. So true solution can be is normally clear, transparent, but can be colored. As you dissolve copper sulfate, which is blue in color, and copper sulfate solution of blue colored solution can be formed. So that is also the example of true solution. Its particles cannot be separated by filtration, as the entire solution can pass through the filter paper. You know, these solute particles in these type of solutions are very, very tiny. They can pass through filter paper very easily. So the components of true solution cannot be separated by a filtration method. The solute particles are too small to scatter a beam of light. So the path of light is not visible in the solution. When you pass the light with the help of this torch, you can see from this diagram, if you try to pass through this solution, the path of the light is not visible inside the solution. But the path of light is visible in this type of solution, but not in this. It means the solution in which path of light coming from the torch, when not visible, it means that solution is true solution. Here the solute particles are very tiny. Their size is very, very small. We have learnt it is less than 1 nanometer, that they cannot scatter the beam of light when passed through them. It means the path of light is not visible in this. This phenomenon is also known as Tyndall effect, about which you will study in the same lecture in the next slides. And the solution where the solute particles scatter the beam of light, and beam of light can be seen inside this beaker through the solution. It means the size of the solute particles are big enough to scatter the beam of light when passed through it. It means that the particles in true solution, which particles? Solute particles in true solution are very tiny. They cannot scatter the light when passed through this type of solution. So it means, in the other words, we can say that true solution cannot show Tyndall effect. True solution is stable. That is, when the solution is left undisturbed, its solute particles do not settle down. For example, if you prepare sugar solution or salt solution by dissolving sugar in water or salt in water, and you keep that solution undisturbed for some time, you don't see the sugar particles or salt particles settle at the bottom. It means the particles in the true solution cannot settle on their own. It means solution is highly stable. So various examples of true solution are sugar in water, salt in water, and water in alcohol, etc. These are about the properties of true solution. Now let us see about the concentration of solution. We have prepared solution by adding solute in solvent. Now, depending upon the amount of solute in solution, solution can be of 3 types: dilute solution, concentrated solution, saturated solution. Dilute solution: the solution in which amount of solvent is more but the amount of solute is less. It is called dilute solution. The solution in which amount of solute is more than the amount of solvent, such type of solution is called concentrated solution. Saturated solution: when you prepare solution by adding solute into solvent, one stage comes when no more solute can be dissolved in the given solvent at the given temperature. It means the solution is turned saturated. It cannot dissolve more solute more than its capacity. That solution is known as saturated solution. Means when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution in its solvent at a given temperature, It is called saturated solution. Let us see these three types of solution with the help of this diagram. First diagram shows dilute and unsaturated solution. Means in the given amount of solvents, for example, you have taken 100 ml of water and you have added 5 to 6 table teaspoons of salt or sugar in this type of in 100 ml of water, and they are easily soluble in them, right? For example, here in 100 ml of water, some amount of copper sulfate salt is added as solute, and you can see that this is dilute and unsaturated. Means this type of solution has the ability to add on more solute into it. So here the solute quantity is less and solvent quantity is more, and it has made dilute and unsaturated solution. For example, when you make sharbat at your home, for example, you have brought Ruh Afza. Now Ruh Afza itself is a concentrated sharbat that has more salt and less water. It is concentrated. But when you prepare sharbat with the help of Ruh Afza, what you do? You take water in the pan or in the container and you add 2 to 3 tablespoons of Ruh Afza in it and prepare dilute solution of that drink or that sharbat. Now see, in the same quantity of water, that is 100 ml of water as solvent, we are adding more copper sulfate in it, and now you can see the color of the solution is getting changed. And now if it it is capable of dissolving more copper sulfate in 100 ml of water, then and the color concentration is also changes. This means this solution is now is becoming concentrated, strong solution, right? And now one stage comes when you keep on adding more and more copper sulfate in the same quantity of water as solvent, that is 100 ml, then you can see that there is a more change in color can be observed in this diagram. And one stage comes when no more solute as a copper sulfate as a solute can be added in same quantity of water, that is 100 ml of water. This means here the saturated solution is prepared. So these are the three types of solutions can be prepared on the basis of amount of solute taken. In dilute solution, less solute and more solvent. In concentrated solution, more solute and less solvent. And in saturated solution, no more solute can be added in the given solvent at the given temperature. Now let us perform an activity to prepare saturated solution. The materials required for this activity are 2 beakers, salt, sodium chloride or barium chloride, sugar and distilled water. Procedure: take 50 ml of water in 2 beakers, add salt in 1 beaker with continuous stirring, means keep on dissolving with the help of glass rod till no more salt dissolves in it. Similarly, add sugar in other beaker with continuous stirring till no more sugar dissolves in it. What do we observe? We observe that in both beakers we get saturated solution of salt and sugar at the given temperature. We also observe that amount of solute, that is salt and sugar, dissolved in same amount of water is different. For example, in beaker where salt is added, we have added 3 to 4 tablespoons of salt in 50 ml of water in 1 beaker, and the beaker in which sugar is added, we have added 6 to 7 tablespoons of sugar in 50 ml of water, and saturated solution of salt and sugar are prepared. It means their solubilities are different in same amount of water. So what do we conclude? The solution which cannot dissolve any more of solute in it at a given temperature is called saturated solution. Means after adding salt of 3 to 4 tablespoons, no more solute in the form of salt can be dissolved in one beaker, and the beaker in which we have added 5 to 6 tablespoons of sugar, then after that no more sugar can be dissolved in same amount of water. It means solubilities of sugar and salt in the same solvent are different. So saturated solution of different substances have different amounts of solute present in the particular amount of solvent, that is their solubilities are different. You can see with the help of these diagrams that in this case this is unsaturated solution, means we are adding more solute in the same solvent, and it is capable of dissolving more and more salt as a solute in it. It means it has the capacity to dissolve more and more salt as solute in it. But one stage is reached when no more solute can be dissolved in the same solvent. Then it means the solution has become saturated. No more solute can be added in the same solvent at the given temperature, and extra solute starts settling at the bottom of this test tube. So this means that this is unsaturated solution where it keeps on dissolving solute in the same solvent, and here this is the saturated solution where no more solute can be added in the same solvent at the given temperature. So two types of solutions, saturated and unsaturated solutions, are prepared. Same way, saturated and unsaturated solution, you have seen that it is the just repetition to understand and learn the terms saturated and unsaturated solutions. So what is the definition of saturated solution? At any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much as solute as it is capable of dissolving, it is called saturated solution. And the amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. Means it can dissolve only particular amount of solute in its solvent at the given temperature, and no more solute can be added when the saturated solution is prepared. And what is unsaturated? If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, it is called an unsaturated solution. So this is how saturated solution and unsaturated solutions are distinguished. Now solubility. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at a given temperature is called its solubility. That you have seen in the previous slide about solubility, that salt is as a solute is soluble in saturated solution. Now what is the effect of temperature on the solubility? Students, once the saturated level of the solution is reached and no more solute can be added in the given solvent at the given temperature, then how can its solubility be increased? We can increase the solubility of saturated solution so that more solute can be added in it only by increasing the temperature. If you raise the temperature of saturated sugar solution that you have prepared in the previous slide by about 5 degrees Celsius by heating it, then you can see that saturated solution can become unsaturated and some more amount of sugar can be added to it. At the room temperature, when you prepared saturated solution by adding 5 to 6 tablespoons of sugar, then no more sugar can be added in that solution. But the 7th tablespoon of sugar can be added if you heat the saturated solution and increase its temperature to about 5 degrees Celsius. Then you can see that the 7th tablespoon of sugar can be dissolved in that solution. It means by heating, the saturated solution can become unsaturated and some more amount of solute can be dissolved. On the other hand, if the saturated solution at a particular temperature is cooled slowly to a low temperature, then the amount of extra solute would separate out in the form of fine crystals at the bottom. What does this conclude? What is the effect of temperature on the solubility? That solubility of a solute in the saturated solution can be increased by increasing the temperature, and it decreases with the decrease in temperature. Let us do one question based on solubility of different substances in the same amount of solvent at the different temperature. This question is given in your Science NCERT textbook in the exercise part, question number 3. Pragya tested the solubility of 4 different substances at different temperatures and collected the data as given below. Results are given in the following table as grams of substance dissolved in 100 grams of water to form a saturated solution. Let us see in this table that there are 4 chemical substances are taken and dissolved in 100 grams of water at different temperatures. For example, potassium nitrate at 283 Kelvin, 21 grams of potassium nitrate can be dissolved in 100 grams of water at 283 Kelvin. But when the temperature is increased from 283 to 293 Kelvin, in the same solvent 100 grams of water, 32 grams of potassium nitrate can be dissolved. And further, if the temperature is increased to 313 Kelvin, at this time 62 grams of potassium nitrate can be dissolved in 100 grams of water. Likewise, when the temperature is increased to 333 Kelvin, 106 grams of potassium nitrate as solute can be dissolved in 100 grams of water, and if the temperature is increased to 353 Kelvin, 167 grams of potassium nitrate can be dissolved in 100 grams of water. Likewise, different salts at the different temperature are dissolved in 100 grams of water, and you can see that with the increase in temperature the solubility is increasing. Now let us answer some questions based on this situation. First question is, what mass of potassium nitrate would be needed to produce a saturated solution of potassium nitrate in 50 grams of water at 313 Kelvin? Let us see the table once again. See, the solubility of potassium nitrate at 313 Kelvin is 62 grams in 100 grams of water. And now the amount of water is reduced from 100 grams to 50 grams. Now what would be the solubility of potassium nitrate in 50 grams of water at the same temperature, that is 313 Kelvin. Now see, 100 grams of water will dissolve potassium nitrate at 313 Kelvin is equal to 62 grams, and 50 grams of water will dissolve potassium nitrate at 313 Kelvin is equal to 60 divided by 2, that is 31 grams. It means 31 grams of potassium nitrate will dissolve in 50 grams of water at temperature 313 Kelvin. Now see another question. Find the solubility of each salt at 293 Kelvin. Which salt has the highest solubility at this temperature? Look at the table once again. At 293 Kelvin, you can see that potassium nitrate, 32 grams of potassium nitrate can be dissolved in 100 grams of water. Sodium chloride, 36 grams of sodium chloride can be dissolved in 100 grams of water. Potassium chloride, 35 grams of potassium chloride can be dissolved in 100 grams of water, and ammonium chloride, 37 grams of ammonium chloride can be dissolved in 100 grams of water at the same temperature, 293 Kelvin. Now you can see that solubility of different salts is different at the same temperature in the same amount of solvent, that is water. And at this temperature, let us find out whose solubility is the maximum, that is ammonium chloride. 37 grams of ammonium chloride can be dissolved in 100 grams of water at 293 Kelvin. So, you can check your answer given in this C part. Another question is, what is the effect of change of temperature on the solubility of salt? So, what we have concluded through this question, that the rate of solubility increases with increase in temperature and vice versa. Vice versa means the rate of solubility increases with increase in temperature and decreases with decrease in temperature. So, this is very important question, and you have to go through this question once again. Now, let us see concentration of solution. What is the meaning of concentration of solution? It is the amount of solute present in the given amount of solution or amount of solute dissolved in the given mass or volume of solvent. The amount of solvent can be given as in mass or in volume. So, what is the formula of the concentration of solution? That is amount of solute upon amount of solution or amount of solute in given amount of solvent. What are the different ways of expressing the concentration of a solution? Means how will you find out the concentration of solution? What are the formulae by applying which you can find out the concentration of a solution? There are two methods, there are two ways of expressing the concentration of solution. One on the basis of mass percentage. If the mass of the solute and mass of the solution is given, then how can you calculate the mass percentage of concentration of solution? That is mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. The second way of expressing the concentration of solution is mass by volume percentage of a solution. It can be calculated by the formula mass of solute upon volume of solution multiplied by 100. Let us see one example of such numerical based on concentration of solution. This numerical is given as a solved example in your science NCERT book. A solution contains 40 grams of common salt in 320 grams of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of solution. Now let us see what is given in this numerical. A solution contains 40 grams of common salt, means mass of solute is given, that is 40 grams. In 320 grams of water, means mass of solvent, that is water, is given 320 grams of mass of solvent. Now to calculate mass of solution, we have to add mass of solute plus mass of solvent, that is 40 grams plus 320 grams gives 360 grams of mass of solution. Now by applying the formula mass percentage of solution, put the values in this formula. Mass percentage of solution is equal to mass of solute upon mass of solution multiplied by 100. Mass of solute given is 40 grams upon mass of solution, that is 360 gram, which we have calculated here, and then multiply with 100. So 40 divided by 360 multiplied by 100, on calculating it comes out to be 11.1%. So concentration of solution by mass percentage is 11.1%. So this type of numericals can be asked on the topic concentration of solution. Students, this is all for today's lecture. I hope that you have understood the topic. If you find any difficulty in any part of today's lecture, you can ask me telephonically or through WhatsApp. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay safe, stay healthy.